The constant, exhausting struggle to win, to achieve, to become. What if it's all based on a profound misunderstanding? What if the very act of trying is the trap itself? Please, listen to the very end, for the final observation holds the key to ending this inner conflict entirely. The promise. We should talk about this question of winning, shouldn't we? It seems to be a tremendous driving force in all our lives. We want to win in our careers, to win an argument, to win affection, to succeed. We have been brought up, educated, and conditioned to compete, to compare, to struggle to be better than another. We have an image of what a winner is, and we strive towards that image. We think that in achieving this, in this so-called winning, there will be a release, a happiness, a final security. But we must ask ourselves very seriously and deeply, what is it that we are actually pursuing? What is this promise of winning? Is it not at its root a form of separation? The moment you have the idea of winning, you have inherently created the idea of losing. You have set yourself against another, or against a version of yourself that is a loser. So you have introduced conflict from the very beginning. So your mind is caught in this duality, in this struggle of opposites. To win, you must exert effort, will, control. You must discipline yourself. You must suppress certain parts of yourself and encourage others. You are in a constant state of becoming something you are not. And we think this is a noble pursuit. We are told that this struggle builds character. But does it? Or does it merely build a more clever, more cunning, more fortified ego? Does it not create immense strain, anxiety, and a deep-seated fear of failure? One sees this everywhere in the world. The man who has won, the successful man, is he a peaceful man? Is he a man of love? Or is he often a man who is ridden with fear, who must protect what he has won, who is constantly looking over his shoulder, comparing himself, ensuring he remains at the top? He is still in the field of conflict. So the promise of winning was an illusion. The promise was that it would end the struggle, but the very nature of winning is perpetual struggle. So we must look at this desire. Why is it there? The desire to win comes from a sense of insufficiency, does it not? A feeling of being less than. I feel I am not enough as I am, so I must achieve something. I must win something to fill this void, this emptiness. The winning is a decoration on the wall of my own inner poverty. I use success, status, and the defeat of others as a way to convince myself that I am somebody. But this feeling of insufficiency is not resolved by adding something to it. It is like putting expensive clothes on a sick body. It does not cure the sickness. The sickness is the feeling of me as a separate, insufficient entity. And the entire structure of winning, of competition, of ambition is built upon this fragile foundation. It reinforces the very sense of self, the ego, which is the source of the insufficiency in the first place. Let's be very clear. We are not saying that one should not be excellent at what one does. To play an instrument beautifully, to write a poem, to be a good carpenter, that has its own intrinsic beauty, its own discipline. But that is very different from the psychological desire to win. Excellence comes from a love of doing the thing itself. The desire to win comes from a love of the self being aggrandized. Do you see the difference? One is a state of attention, of care, of love for the action. The other is a state of inattention to the action, but total attention to the reward, to the result, to what I will get out of it. And so the action itself becomes a means to an end, and therefore it loses its quality, its truth, its beauty. The mind that is concerned with winning cannot see what is true because it is only concerned with its own becoming. So the promise of winning is a trap. It promises freedom and peace, but delivers only more sophisticated forms of conflict and fear. Inner division. Now, if we have looked at that together and we see the falseness of this promise, we must then ask, what is the mechanism of this inner struggle? What is actually happening within our own consciousness? We see that there is a division. There is the me, the observer, the one who is judging, and there is the thing being observed, which is my state of being. I say, I am not a winner, but I should be. So there is the what is, my actual state of being at this moment, and there is the what should be, the ideal, the goal, the image of the winner. The struggle exists in the space between these two. The energy of our life is spent in trying to bridge this gap, in trying to force the what is to become the what should be. This is the fundamental division within us that causes all our misery. We are perpetually at war with ourselves. This division is the very essence of psychological conflict. We think this division is normal, that it is a necessary part of life. We are told to fight our weaknesses, to control our anger, to overcome our fears. In all these phrases, there is the implication of a controller and a thing to be controlled. There is a censor, a judge, who stands apart and says, this is good, this is bad, I must keep this and get rid of that. But is this censor, this observer, any different from the thing he is observing? Is the thinker different from his thought? Or has thought created the thinker for its own sense of permanency and security? When you are angry, you say, I must control my anger. But that I, who wants to control the anger, is he not also part of the anger? Is he not himself born of thought, of conditioning, of the desire to be in a state that is not anger? So look at it very closely. The controller is the controlled. The moment you see that, the entire dynamic of inner conflict changes. As long as you believe there is a separate entity, a you, who is going to act upon your feelings, who is going to win the battle against your own nature, you are caught in an endless and exhausting war. You are trying to put out a fire with gasoline. The very effort to win against a part of yourself gives that part of yourself more energy, more life. You fight it, so you sustain it. You try to control it, so you give it importance. The conflict is the division, and we have accepted this division as the only way to live. We have created an ideal, a hero, a winner, a saint, and we spend our lives in the shadow of this ideal, always feeling guilty, ashamed, and incomplete because we can never live up to it. The ideal is a fiction, a projection of thought. So can one live without this division? Can one look at what is, at the anger, the jealousy, the feeling of insufficiency, without the immediate reaction of condemning it or trying to change it? This means to look without the observer, to look without the censor, to just see the feeling as it is, without naming it, without the word which is associated with the past. When you name a feeling as anger, you have already pushed it away. You have connected it to all your past experiences of anger, and you have separated yourself from it. But what happens if you look at that rising energy, that disturbance, without the label? You are with it completely. There is no division between you and the feeling. In that state of total attention, where the observer is the observed, the feeling has a completely different significance. It is no longer a source of conflict. The division itself was the conflict. Escaping time. This division, this conflict between what is and what should be, is intimately linked with our concept of time. Not chronological time, not the time of the clock which is necessary to catch a train, but psychological time. The idea of winning is an idea of the future, is it not? You are not a winner now, but you will be one day. You will achieve, you will become. So your mind is living in the future. The what should be is a projection in time, and the what is judged in relation to the memory of the past. So the mind is caught in this corridor of the past and the future, and it is never here now. This movement away from the present is the essence of psychological time, and it is the field in which fear and sorrow grow. Think about it, sir. Fear is always about something that might happen, or something from the past that might repeat itself. It is never about the now. In the actual present, in the split second of now, there is no fear. There is only what is. You might be facing a dangerous animal. There is action, there is response, but there is no psychological fear in that instant. Fear comes a second later with the thought, I might get hurt, I might die. That thought is the movement of time. Similarly, hope is the other side of the same coin. Hope is also a projection into the future, a desire for a pleasant outcome. And so, the mind that lives in hope also lives in fear, because the future is uncertain. The mindset of winning is a mindset that is entirely based on hope and fear, and therefore it is a mind that is trapped in the illusion of psychological time. It is never free. To be free, the mind must be free from this becoming, this whole process of me who is now becoming the me who will be a winner in the future. This becoming is the movement of thought. Thought is a response of memory. Memory is the past. So thought is always old. It can project a future, but that future is always shaped by the past. The new me that I want to become is just a modified version of the old me. It is still within the same pattern of thought, of ego, of self. So there is no psychological evolution. There is no becoming free. Freedom is not at the end of a long process of becoming. Freedom is now, or it is never. It is in the complete cessation of the desire to become something else. So can one see this whole structure? The desire to win creates a future goal. This goal creates psychological time. This time creates fear and hope. This whole movement is the movement of thought based on the past, and this entire process prevents you from being present with what is, right now. To win, you believe you must escape the present moment, which you deem insufficient, and strive for a future moment, which you deem desirable. But the only reality you have is this present moment. The future is an abstraction, so you are sacrificing the living reality for a dead idea. Can the mind be quiet? Can it cease this frantic escape from the now? This is not a matter of practice or technique. Any technique implies time. You practice today to achieve a result tomorrow. That is the same trap. It has to be an immediate insight, a direct perception of the futility and the sorrow of this escape into time. When you see a snake, you don't practice how to jump away, you jump. The seeing is the acting. In the same way, to see the truth of this structure of time is to be free of it. Total insight. So, where does this leave us? We began by asking what mindset is needed to win. And we have seen that the very idea of winning, as we understand it, is a source of immense conflict, division, and sorrow. It is a game played by the ego, a game based on comparison and fear, a game that takes place in the illusory field of psychological time. To seek a mindset to win this game is to ask for a better way to live in a prison. The real question is not how to win, but whether it is possible to be free from the game itself. The only true victory, surely, is the complete freedom from the conflict which the desire to win creates. Not to become a loser, which is just the other side of the same coin, but to be entirely outside of that duality. This freedom does not come about through an act of will, through a decision, or through adopting a new belief system or a new mindset. All those are movements of thought, of the ego trying to improve itself. That is the old game in a new costume. The freedom we are talking about comes from a flash of insight, a total choiceless awareness of the whole structure. It is to see in one instant the whole movement of desire, of comparison, of division, of time, and the sorrow that it brings. To see it, not as an intellectual concept, but to feel it in your blood, in your heart. It is to see that the observer is the observed. The one who is trying to win is the same as the one who feels insufficient. The thinker is the thought. The experiencer is the experience. There is no division. When this is seen, not as a theory, but as an absolute fact in the moment it is happening, the division within you collapses. The struggle ceases. There is no entity inside you trying to control another part. There is no me trying to become something else. The energy that was wasted in this internal battle is now wholly present. There is an immense sense of release, of quietness. The mind becomes extraordinarily still, not through force, but because the cause of its agitation has been understood and has dissolved. And in this stillness, there is an intelligence that is not of thought, not of the book, not of experience. It is an intelligence that can meet life as it is, moment to moment, without the screen of the past, without the projection of the future. This is not a state of emptiness or dullness. On the contrary, it is a state of extraordinary vitality and attention. This is the only victory that has any meaning. Not the victory over another, but the victory over the self, over the entire structure of the me that lives in conflict. And this is not a mindset you can cultivate. It is a state of being that arises when the mind sees the false as the false and completely drops it. There is no path to this. The seeing is the ending. So do not seek a mindset to win. Rather, inquire, look, be aware of your own consciousness in action. Watch the desire to win as it arises. Watch the comparison, the fear, the hope. Watch it all without judgment, without choice. And perhaps when the mind is quiet and the heart is open, there will be an insight that is total, complete, and which will set you entirely and utterly free. This is the most challenging and liberating thing I have heard in years. For my entire life, I've been trying to build a better me, always fighting parts of myself. The idea that the fighter is the same as the part being fought is shattering. It feels like the whole house of cards of my ambition just collapsed. It's a little scary, to be honest. Has anyone else experienced that moment of seeing this and what happens after the collapse?